At 12 noon on the 10th of April 1912, RMS Titanic slipped to moorings and left Southampton Dock bound for New York. On board 2,224 passengers and crew, including the most rich and famous of the day, such as John Jacob Astor IV and Benjamin Guggenheim, as well as society's less well-off third-class passengers looking for a new life in America. They were the largest ships afloat at the time of launch, and they were built for large capacity and especially luxury. They were the most technologically advanced ships of the time, and the press dubbed them to be practically unsinkable. And even though Titanic was at the cutting edge of maritime technology, she was only equipped with 20 lifeboats, enough for 1,178 people. The idea being that in the event of an abandoned ship order being given, she would remain afloat long enough to offload and ferry passengers to rescue ships. Tragically, on the 14th of April, she would strike an iceberg in mid-Atlantic with no nearby rescue ship at hand, and barely 2.5 hours later, she would slip below the waves, taking over 1,500 lives with her. On the 10th of April 1970, Paul McCartney announced he was leaving the Beatles due to personal and professional reasons. The four band members were beginning to assert individual ambitions and agendas during the second half of the Beatles' career, and tensions were inevitable. During the recording of the White Album, tensions over music soon merged into business matters, and drummer Ringo Starr and guitarist George Harrison briefly quit the group. In 1969, the group split into two camps with disagreements over who should be managing their business affairs. The final time that the four members recorded together collectively was the session for Abbey Road's closing track The End, which was on the 18th of August 1969. John Lennon privately informed his bandmates that he was leaving the Beatles in September, although it was unclear to the other members at this time whether his departure was permanent. But on the 10th of April 1970, McCartney issued a press release stating that he was no longer working with the group, and this sparked a widespread media reaction and worsened the tensions between him and his bandmates. Legal disputes continued long after, and the dissolution was not formalised until 1974. Big Ben is the nickname for the great bell of the striking clock at the north end of the Palace of Westminster in London. The official name of the tower in which Big Ben is located was originally the Clock Tower, but this was renamed Elizabeth Tower in 2012 to mark the Diamond Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth II. Big Ben is the largest of the tower's 5 bells and weighs 13.5 tons. It was the largest bell in the United Kingdom for 23 years. The original bell was a 16-ton bell cast on the 6th of August 1856 in Stockton-on-Tees by John Warner and Sons, and it is thought that the bell was originally to be called Victoria or Royal Victoria in honour of Queen Victoria, but that an MP suggested the bell's current nickname of Big Ben during a parliamentary debate. Since the tower was not yet finished, the bell was mounted in New Palace Yard, but during testing it cracked beyond repair and a replacement had to be made. The bell was recast on the 10th of April 1858 at the Whitechapel Bell Foundry as a 13.5-ton bell. The second bell was transported from the foundry to the tower on a trolley drawn by 16 horses and with crowds cheering its progress. It was then pulled the 200 feet up to the clock tower's belfry, a feat that took 18 hours. Mount Tambora is an active volcano in the northern part of Sumbawa, which is one of the lesser Sunda islands of Indonesia. On April 10, 1815, Tambora erupted in what was the largest and most devastating observed eruption in recorded history. The explosion was heard 2,600 kilometers away, 1,600 miles, and ash deposits were registered at a distance of at least 1,300 kilometers or 810 miles. A pitch of darkness was observed as far away as 600 kilometers, 370 miles, from the mountain summit for up to 2 days. Pyroclastic flows spread to distances of about 20 kilometers or 12 miles from the summit. The island's entire vegetation was destroyed as uprooted trees mixed with pumice ash was washed into the sea and formed rafts of up to 5 kilometers across. One pumice raft was found in the Indian Ocean near Calcutta on the 1st and the 3rd of October of 1815. Clouds of thick ash still covered the summit on the 23rd of April, and explosions continued up until the 15th of July, although smoke emissions were still observed as late as 23rd of August. Flames and rumbling aftershocks were reported in August of 1819, 4 years after the event.